Fortnite's Simpsons season just dropped, so I'm here to break down every single item, going all the way from the ones you should really only use in the early game to the most broken items in the meta. Let's first start off with all the just basic stuff, put them into balance in early game. Don't want to talk about them. Bosh. Now let's get on to the assault rifles. The first is the striker assault rifle, there's the suppressed assault rifle, and then there's also the infantry rifle as well. Now the striker assault rifle is returning from the previous chapter, however it is now hit scan. There is no bullet drop on this. If you want to sit and compare it to the suppressed assault rifle, which is basically the most similar of all of the two, it has a slightly higher fire rate of 7.9 in comparison to the 5.5 of the suppressed, but it deals a lot less damage per shot, which is 22 damage per shot in comparison to 30. When you look at the damage per second, it is slightly higher, but it absolutely drains through ammo, and I do feel like it's slightly more difficult to hit shots with. But that faster fire rate actually can hurt it a little bit here. The striker only has 25 bullets per magazine, whereas the suppressed has 30, plus the suppressed has the slower fire rate. So what this means is if you start spraying, a full clip will take 3.1 seconds to empty with the striker, whereas with the suppressed, it'll take 5.45 seconds. When you add on top of that, the striker has a slower reload time of 3 seconds in comparison to 2 seconds of the suppressed. You can spray for so much longer with the suppressed overall, and generally that's actually really good for box fighting because you're going to have to reload much less. The suppressed also has a 1.5 times headshot multiplier, whereas the striker only has a 1.4. I'm not really sure why they reduced the headshot multiplier from the standard 1.5 or 1.75 that they use with assault rifles. So in comparing the two main assault rifles, I think the suppressed is way better than the striker. But of course, the infantry rifle is also an assault rifle, and if you didn't know, it's now been made automatic, so you no longer have to single tap fire. You can just hold it down and spray, and oh my days, this thing is insane. All of these stats are with the blue rarity for across this entire video, but a single body shot deals 40 damage, and rather than, like I already mentioned, the 1.5 times headshot multiplier, the assault rifle has a 2 times headshot multiplier. That means with the rare variant, you can hit a 40 body shot, and then a headshot will do 80 damage. So in 3 bullets, 1 body and 2 headshots, or 3 headshots, you can just kill someone from 200 HP. Now, obviously the main disadvantage of the infantry rifle is that it has 8 bullets before you need to reload it. Really bad for box fighting. However, for medium and long range, this thing is so genuinely unbelievably broken. Honestly, I feel like it's just fair to say that all 3 of these assault rifles are just the meta, but it's just down to preference and what type of game mode you're actually playing. Let's move on to the shotguns next as well. And there's again, similarly, 3 in the meta. There's the Thunder Pump shotgun, the Tactical shotgun, and then the Ranger shotgun as well. So obviously the main pump shotgun is going to be the Thunder, and it's a lot different from the Sentinel that we've had previously. The two main distinctions really are firstly the structure damage, as this has 55 structure in comparison to 85 of the Sentinel, but also the pullout time. Now, a thing that I think a lot of people take for granted is the fact that the Sentinel pump has a 300 millisecond pullout time, which means after you've made an edit, you can pull out your shotgun very, very quickly. However, a lot of older shotguns, the Thunder shotgun in particular, have a lot slower pullout time, as this has a 476 millisecond pullout time. Now, this doesn't sound like that much, but when you edit and try to pull out your shotgun, you will really feel the difference. So I love the fact that it does less structure damage than the Sentinel pump, but the slower pullout time does make it feel kind of clunky. The Tactical shotgun is still also just a tactical shotgun. You shoot it, you'll realize it hits a lot of 30s, but there seems to be a bug where the gold and the purple variants actually still do higher structure damage. They do 75 and 78, the same as the other ones used to do. The reason I say this is a bug is because if you take the Mythic shotgun, or the enhanced one, you pick it up from the Evil Homer boss, you'll realize that it does 63 structure damage. So I actually think the purple and gold are currently bugged. Then the Ranger shotgun, of course, does really good damage in a single shot, but then you have to reload it every single time. If you take this in combination with the infantry rifle, you will literally spend every single box fight just reloading. Not an ideal loadout by any means. 2 weapons you probably don't want to pick up at the same time. The issue with the Ranger shotgun is also that it just does less damage per shot than the Thunder. Unless you're at that kind of 10-20 meter range, then it's much better. But even when comparing the max headshot, it does 155 in comparison to the Thunder Pump's 185. So unless you really just want to shoot people in the end game, like open and edit, look forward, it's really good for that. Outside of that, honestly, just not really any need to pick up the Ranger shotgun. So Thunder, obviously going into the meta. Tactical shotgun going into balanced, and then the Ranger shotgun going into the early game only tier. Zero build players probably like Ranger shotgun though. Moving on to the SMGs, and there are 2 added to the meta, the Compact SMG and the Machine SMG. Now both of these drop off their damage roughly around 20 meters, so after that, and especially 40 meters, they're basically kind of just useless, so they don't really have that much range to them. But the difference between them is in their fire rate, very similar to most SMGs. The Machine SMG has a 13.5 fire rate, whereas the Compact has an 11. This basically means that the the machine SMG fires 13.5 bullets per second, whereas the compact fires 11 per second. Now this is really important because for SMGs you want to be able to spray through walls, and the machine SMG just does this slightly better as it's faster fire rate because more shots are going to bleed through the turbo build. In terms of damage per second, it's also actually better with 216 damage per second in comparison to the compact's 187. However, the benefit of the compact is that it has a 1.75 times headshot multiplier, so if you hit headshots, it's actually a much better gun. Both of these are just basically run-in-box brr SMGs like every other kind of strong one we've seen before, but they don't feel super overpowered in my opinion. Maybe my aim is just horrible. I mean, I know it is. That's the problem. So both of these are going to go into strong. Next up is the pistols, and I'm going to talk about them separately because they're so different. The first is obviously the suppressed pistol. This is basically the worst gun in the game. Maybe not, because maybe some of those SMGs are worse, but they at least have a place. The suppressed pistol is basically worse in every single way. The main selling point of the pistols for the most part is that they have a 2 times headshot multiplier, and that's obviously the really main selling point of the suppressed pistol. If you find a gold one or a purple one, it's very, very strong, and it's probably worth carrying over a lower rarity striker or suppressed assault rifle. But given the fact that the infantry rifle also has the 2 times headshot multiplier, I'm not really sure if you want to be picking this up over that weapon instead. Now, it does have a 1 second reload time, so you can actually reload very, very quickly and continually box fight and pressure with it. But if you used it in the past, you know this gun is not like super amazing by any means, so it's going to go into the early game only tier for me. Now, next up is the first new weapon. I think this is actually the only new weapon added to the game so far, which is the Mr. Blasty, which only comes in rare, epic, and legendary rarities, so you can't get it in gray or green. And this thing is really strong. Well, now what a lot of people haven't realized with this yet is that if you ADS, this actually slows your fire rate down from 3 to 2.25. Either way, this gun is really easy to aim, unlike the infantry rifle, and it does so much damage per individual shot. It's very difficult to fight in solos because you're always being third-partied by someone who's just sitting watching with this pistol, and I love playing with it, but it's similar to the Mammoth pistol where I hate being in lobbies where other people are playing with it. So for the Mr. Blasty, I'm putting this into the meta because I definitely think a lot of players are going to carry this. All right, so let's get on to the mythics and the exotics, and currently as of recording this, there are 4 in the meta. The first is the enhanced tactical shotgun, which I actually already mentioned earlier on. Now, because it has such a lower structure damage than the purple or the gold, which again, I do think is a bug, I don't think this is really super amazing or very incredibly strong. I've used it a few times, and if you look at the body shot damage, it can do up to 101 just by shooting someone in the body. So you can actually 2-tack someone with the mythic just by shooting in the body twice. Not even a headshot is required. However, if you're playing on keyboard and mouse, even with good aim, this is sometimes quite difficult to do because you're still going to hit a lot of 38s, you're still going to hit a lot of 50s, you're still going to hit a lot of smaller damage shots because fundamentally the crosshair for this and the spread is still pretty large. So for me, I'm just going to put this into strong because it is incredibly good, but I've used it a few times and it doesn't feel super busted by any means. The next is the enhanced compact SMG, which you can find by beating the Evil Marge boss, and similar to the base value, like this is really strong, in particular if you're in someone's box, especially if you're on controller. These 2 mythics are very controller season powered, but again, I've sprayed a lot at that mid kind of close range trying to pressure through walls. It just doesn't feel like a super broken weapon, so to me this is also just going to go into strong as well. I'll probably regret saying that in solo cash cups and just have some like TV controller PlayStation 4 player just run through my box and know me. Next up is the Krusty's Mr. Blasty. This is actually an exotic item you can find by beating the boss Krusty, unsurprisingly, and the actual stats of this are the same as the gold Mr. Blasty, but of course it's an exotic, which means it has a side effect. The first shot of every magazine attaches a balloon to the player it hits, which drags them up into the sky, which is very funny and also very annoying when it happens. However, if they break this balloon, it will not take fall damage as there's a kind of shockwave effect that comes with this. Importantly, you don't actually have to hit them, you just have to shoot near them. So you can shoot the floor near players who are rotating and drag them up into the sky. As you can see the clip on screen right now, I was testing this out and I shot some of the NPCs that were walking around the forecast towers, and as you notice, it actually got all 3 of them to fly up at the same time. So if you shoot into a duo's box, you can just really basically scuff their rotates, whatever. If they have like a window open, if they have an edit open, you can basically just shoot into it and just mess up all their rotates before they start to go. So this is super, super strong, unsurprisingly. There's no question about this. This is going straight into broken AF. And the final mythic is Jebediah's Head. It's found in Springfield Town Square, and once you apply this, or put this on, like a helmet of course, it gives you headshot protection for 1 single shot, kind of similar to the aliens did back in Chapter 1, Season 7? Season 8, one of those two, wherever it is. Once you get shot, it will fall off, and it does take up an inventory slot, but you can re-put this back on once it has fallen off after, I think, a 15-second cooldown. Could be wrong on the timing. I can't actually find that anywhere, and I keep dying every time I go in game to test it out. This is pretty good, but it does take up an inventory slot, and it gives you the medallion effect, which shows where you are to other players on the map. So I'm going to put this one into balanced, which is kind of crazy for a mythic item now that you think about it, actually. And finally, onto the utility items and the heals, and there's some super broken stuff in here, I'll be honest. The first item is bush bombs. Now, this is not one of the broken items. The only real utility for this in competitive is for storm surge trading. You throw this on top of one of your towers. You've got good visibility then where you can start tagging people. Super useful, but for the most part, it's just going to be early game only item. Then we have the Chug Splash. Now, the Chug Splash this season is really good because we obviously do not have Flowberry Fizz in the meta either, which means that the Chug Splash is the only team heal that can actually heal you and your team. And of course, one of the tournaments this season is the Squad Victory Cash Cups. So having a Chug Splash or an item that can heal all 4 of you is incredibly powerful. So no surprise, this is a meta item. You might start to see a trend with where most of these new items are going to. Next is the Chug Jug. Now, I swear there's not that much loot on this map. I've not done a full comparison yet. I will do that as a short for this season. But it feels like I've never have any shield. I feel like I never have any bags and I'm just running around with minis for the most part. So finding a Chug Jug that's able to heal you 200 total is unbelievably good. No surprise, straight into the meta. Next up is the Krusty Burger. Now, I did not realize how broken these truly are. They come in a max stack size of 6. I think you find them in either stack size of 2 or 3. You can also find them in Krusty Burger locations. There's one, for example, in Springfield Town Square, and there's just 8 spawning there that you could just go and pick up, kind of like a pizza. They heal you for 30 shield and 10 white. Now, they take 1 second to pop. If you notice, when you pop one of them, after this 1 second, it slowly regenerates your health back up, like a slurp juice would. However, these can be stacked. So, for example, if you get hit down to no shield left, you can just eat 3 of them instantly and get back up to 90 shield, and it'll take you 3 seconds to pop them. That is unbelievably quick, because there's almost no heals that you can pop that fast and have things recharge. To me, I think this is broken AF. People fighting with these can essentially just pop 2 or 3 of them and just get straight back into pressuring you. If you don't have them, I'm not going to say you're dead, but you're at a severe disadvantage because you have to spend the time popping big pots and things like that. Blinky Fish is basically the main mobility item of this season. Will give you the 0-point dash effect for around 15 seconds. Now, most importantly, you do take fall damage when you are popping these. So if you're going to dash off of something, make sure you have enough time left to do another dash so that you don't die to fall damage. Main mobility item, it's the meta. Then there's the other mobility item, which is also a heal, which is the Super Squishy. Now, this heals you for 25 white or shield, but it gives you an increased movement speed as you've done this, and you get to jump slightly higher. Kind of feels like some of the faster movement medallions from the previous 2 chapters. Now, if you actually combine this with the Blinky Fish, you can absolutely soar through the map by combining the dashes with the slide jump effect from this. But I think the main downside of this is that it only drops in a stack size of 1. There are vending machines you can buy 3 from, but unfortunately, this costs 300 gold, which in a tournament is actually quite difficult to get. I'm not seeing the specifics this season of how easy or difficult it is to get gold yet, but 300 gold is quite a big ask generally. Since it only drops in a stack size of 1, that's quite unfortunate, but because it also heals you for 25 shield, unsurprisingly, this is just a meta item. And one that's a strange addition is the Slurp Juice. There's actually one single Slurp Juice you can find from the Springfield Nuclear Power Plant by doing the little puzzle you have here. So usually these would be super overpowered or the meta, but there's only one, so it's just going into strong. The final item is the Shockwaves, but these are not in competitive. Like the video and subscribe, of course, if you want to see more Simpsons season content, then into new chapter stuff, chapter 7 at the end of this one, which is going to be great. Click that video on screen once you've done all that, because I make lots of really good content, and this is a great video. Trust me. Bye.